G'day YouTube, Warbles on a lot here. I'm sure you've heard the story of how Jesus turned water into wine. Well, I'm going to show you a different trick concerning the time I discovered how to turn Vegemite into high-grade whiskey. Here's how it came about, and for a start, it does not involve Vegemite in a jar, but rather a packet of 10 portions, 10 happy little portions of Vegemite. It also involves a letter. Apparently, the vessel of common sense, containing a letter which said simply, "May I please have a copy of your book sent to my P.O. box? Thanks, I love your content and your point of view on the world. Cheers, Alan B." And there was, in fact, a $20 note folded into the letter. So I dug into my box of books and picked out one and made a few corrections and autographed it, and picked out another one and made a few corrections on it and autographed it, and I sent one of them to Alan B. And because I like to operate within the alchemy of the gift economy, I decided to pay the postage out of my pocket rather than out of the $20 note enclosed in Alan's letter, and instead use the $20 note to pay the postage for the kerosene farting passenger pigeon variety of the snail mail to carry 9 little portions, because I use one of them making a video showing how to eat it, 9 little portions of Vegemite to a place called Lanarkshire in Scotland. Because in Lanarkshire in Scotland there's another subscriber of mine, name of Mike Flight, that's his channel name, and I had mentioned to Mike Flight in passing in the comment on a YouTube video thread, I mentioned that beer is actually the waste product of the Vegemite manufacturing process, and I unpacked that a bit for him in the thread, and he said that he was quite interested in checking out some of this Vegemite stuff. Did I know where he could get some? And my first off the top of the head suggestion was, well, Australia House in London probably has some single serve portions that they keep for giving out to the curious. Qantas Jet Base at Heathrow would probably have a pretty good supply of single serve portions of Vegemite too. But the more I thought about that, the more I thought, well, that's a bit of a bloody miserly, niggardly response when somebody on the other side of the world asks about Vegemite. So therefore, thus and because, not wanting to be a miser, the next time I was in the supermarket, I bought some Vegemite. And because half-assed so-called comedians of the Australian expatriate variety often like to ambush people with a teaspoonful of Vegemite and say, here, try this. We love this in Australia. I made a video explaining the Vegemite beer connection and backstory, and also explaining how to titrate the dose. And then I got the 9 remaining portions. As I said earlier, I airmailed them to Scotland. And in due course, I heard that they'd arrived in Scotland and that Mike Flight had tried about 1/8 of one portion on one piece of toast, and he liked it. He liked it a lot. So he put a bit more on, and he put a bit more on, and he found that he actually likes one of those little single serve portions per slice of bread. And his wife likes it too. So he's presumably getting on his computer and talking to the people at Kraft, because since 1923 they have come up with computers, and it looks like www.bega.com.au, and I'm sure they'll be able to tell you where to get Vegemite anywhere in the world. They probably have a Google Map application for it. So anyway, before the airmailed Vegemite arrived in Scotland, Mike warned me that I should keep an eye out at the post office, because he was organising to send a return match gift. You see, we're in the gift economy. And one of the things about the gift economy is, instead of being like a farmer who tries to take more out of the land every year, forever, slowly, gradually degrading the environment and turning the whole place into a desiccated, devastated, desertified wasteland, which is what happens if everybody tries to make more out of every deal that they ever get involved with. Inside the gift economy, things is different. The idea is that everybody tries to put more into each deal than they expect to extract from it, and that way the entire environment is enriched, and thus and because next year there'll be a bigger harvest for everybody, because the environment will have been enriched and the harvest will be bigger. Okay, so while I was in the post office and I told the people at the post office what my plan was, I want to send some Vegemite to Scotland, what's the air freight? And they laughed at me and they sniggered and they had a look and gee, it's going to be that much? Because they had their cash register connected to the wrong scale, and the wrong scale had a big fat heavy box on it, and from half a minute there I thought I was going to have to pay $40 to send $3.50 worth of Vegemite to Scotland. And I said, well, it's okay, I'll have to pay because I said I was going to do it. I said I was going to send it. That's what it costs. That's what it costs. Put more into the deal than you expect to get out of it. Okay, so Mike Flight obviously thinks along similar lines, because in response to his $3.50 worth of air freighted Vegemite, which he enjoys in Scotland, he told me that he wasn't going to air freight anything from Scotland because, did you know there's an outfit that does what Interflora does for flowers, only it does it for whiskey? It's called Nippy Sweetie Holdings Proprietary Limited, based in Brisbane, and apparently they ship out of Melbourne. Because addressed to Chris Warbles on a lot, this is what awaited me at the posting of the office. Fragile glass, fragile, do not tip. Dispatch from Nippy Sweetie Holdings, Fortescue Avenue, Seaford, Victoria. So, here we go. We have foam nuts, which I will decant into a plastic bag, which featured on an earlier video. Okay, so we got all the nuts out of the box and into the bag. And inside of that, we have a bubble wrapped bottle of liquid, which I can't read through the bubble wrap. And what Mike Flight has sent to little old me, a single grain collection from Vintage Signatory 1998 Ayrshire grain, distilled on the 21st of the 8th 1998, bottled on the 19th of August 2016. So it's 18 years old, single malt Scotch. So, thank you, Mike. Warbles on a lot is very, very, very pleased. That's the most excellent gift economy deal I've ever done. Remarkable, because the people at the bottle shop in town, I went in there looking at the 18-year-old malts to see what a bottle of single malt cost. They had a computer connection which told me what it would have cost in Australian dollars in Australia, and then what they would have sold it to me for in the bottle shop. And the numbers, they were fairly astounding. Astounding to the point where two people, one of whom worked in the bottle shop, the other one being my mother, suggested that rather than drink it, I should treat this thing as an investment and hang on to it, waiting for its value to improve. Whereas my attitude is that clearly, when you look at the numbers involved, this is not a question of commerce. This is a question of giving things away, giving somebody something that's, nice, something that you think they will enjoy. And as I said to my mother when she was the second person who suggested that I should store that bottle away and not ever drink it, treat it as an investment, what I said was, excuse me, the Scotsman got to it, the Vegemite. I've never had a single malt whiskey before, not once, not ever. Drunk a lot of blends, never had a real one. It's not about the money, it's not even about turning Vegemite into whiskey. It was actually about sharing the Vegemite. And Mike wants to share the whiskey. And I have no problem acquiescing to that idea. I do believe it's an actual organic stopper. Don't know whether it's cork, but it's definitely wood. Cork inside a wooden bottle top. Now that's really arty-farty, glitter-arty. Never seen one of them before. I suppose I better sniff the cork. I can smell the grain. It smells like a very nice whiskey. It is perhaps appropriate that the only glass I have in the house is a Cooper's beer glass, because it was the Vegemite and beer connection that got this whole conversation started. So, let us have a little whiskey. While sticking the stopper back into that one, lest we spill it. Here we go. Okay. It really is good. I can see why they pay $125 a bottle for it, because that's what they told me in Woolworths Bottle Shop it would cost if I wanted to buy it from them. So thank you very much, Mike. Oh, I like it. I really do. Yes, that is excellent. And because it's the gift economy, the only way I can think of to repay my debt to the universe in terms of the whiskey I've just received, because I didn't send that much value worth of Vegemite, I'll just have to send some Vegemite to somebody else who's probably going to experiment with it and see how that goes. Herewith warning to my Nova Scotian subscriber, Ethel Perpenfura. You're going to get some Vegemite if the kerosene farting passenger pigeon variety of snail mail can find your isolated little island location. Oh yes, a good pipe and a single malt scotch. Yes. Warbles on a lot of proves, very, very much. Thank you again, Mike Flight. Thank you very much. Casks individually selected and bottled by the Signatory Vintage Scotch Whisky Company Limited, Pitlockery, product of Scotland. 43% alcohol. I wonder how I'll go with learning to stop at one. Warbles on a lot to YouTube. Isn't that a classic? Ciao. That's how you turn Vegemite into whiskey, via snail mail.